You know what? I searched Senua, and yes, I did spell it right on my first try. And yeah, no porn popped up. Now,
Well,
if I
there,
search Senua Hellblade sexy, not as much stuff as I would have thought, actually.
Senua
Now, if I search
Hellblade.
Senua Hellblade Rule 34, oh, there we go. But I mean, that's literally just looking for porn at that point.
Well, yeah, and I mean to be fair, like Senua is modeled like 1-to-1 after the actress who voices and like mocaps for her,
Really?
and the actress who plays her is a very attractive lady.
She looks just like her. Holy shit. There's a picture of her with all the dots on her face
Yep.
in like the mocap helmet with her staring at the camera that's really creepy. But that it kind of I kind of like the I'm kind of okay with that.
Oh, yeah, I found the picture that you're talking about.
Yeah, the creepy soulless like stare. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, she's really pretty. So I'm surprised there isn't more Rule 34 of her.
right?
uh,
What you're
anyway,
saying is the Rule 34 artists don't like creepy bitches. Too bad,
no, it's just Final Fantasy and Resident Evil characters.
right?
Maybe some Meryl and Mei Ling in there.
Maybe some Meryl.
Right.
Right.
Good evening, tech heads. Welcome to episode 67 of the LaserComb Podcast, the show where we comb through random episodes of classic TV with a fine-tooth laser. I am, as always, the Siege, one of your hosts.
And it's me, Cal. I'm here too, your other host.
And this week on the LaserComb Podcast, we are continuing on with a trend that we are kind of retroactively just calling shows that are more clever than the Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, but better.
Big Bang Theory, but better. There we go. Big
Big Bang, but better.
B B B B B.
Rolls off the tongue.
5 B's.
Bring your own Big Bang butter.
Yeah. Bring your own big booty.
Ladies that are definitely listening to this show. No,
Oh,
it's a bunch of 35-year-old dudes, let's be real. Which is okay. Because we're late 30s dudes.
yeah, that's a-okay. Hey, we got some listeners in their 20s and early 30s as well.
Yeah, I know. Shocking. Horrifying even.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. This week on the LaserComb Podcast, as I mentioned, we're continuing on with our 5 Bs, I guess. And this week we're talking about a show that I am extremely fond of, once again, much like on the last episode. Uh, it is a show that ran from 2014 to 2019 on HBO, created by Mike Judge, and it's called Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, folks. And indeed, it's always been one of those shows where I'm like, I should really watch that. Like, that looks like what I want Big Bang Theory to be.
Absolutely,
And then I
yeah.
just never got around to it. Like, it looks like it feels like actual people. Whereas when I was watching Big Bang Theory, and I have watched a lot of it, like guilty as charged, but
Yeah, we,
like,
we we both mentioned that, I think, on the last episode.
it's like one of those things where you want it to be good, but eventually it's like, it's not believable that these guys have PhDs and they're like still living with their mom, or they're like living with like roommates, or that they're like professors or like that kind of thing, because like there's just something weird about it where it's a little bit too mainstream. It's
The kind of shit that they get up to and like the way they behave a lot of the time, like no any job would fire them for. Like no one would put up with
And they're in the
Sheldon's bullshit.
professional sector.
Yeah, no one would put up
Yeah,
with Sheldon's bullshit, for instance. Yeah, it's I've talked about it at length,
unimmersive.
but I really don't like that show. Also, Penny is fucking horrible to Leonard when they're dating. Like she is
Right?
fucking awful
It
to
gets
him.
better, but like, man, the idea of like her just pity dating him while he like desperately like tries to do everything he can to impress her. I
And
at the beginning, that's how it is.
like I could uh, this could be I could be flying a little too close to the sun here cuz I had an ex who did this, but like Penny will frequently in front of people just openly ridicule him for the things that he's interested in.
Emasculate or ridicule or
Yeah.
yeah, and
And
it's hard to watch.
I had an ex who did that. I think you probably know who I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I was with her when we worked at Blockbuster, but she would do that on the regular, and like it hurt. So
Yeah,
like,
so it's hard to watch at times, especially because like they're not that bad. They're kind of like decent dudes that you would play Halo with or D&D with.
right.
But there's certain things that are just obnoxious, like what's his the one dude's mom that's always off screen? Howard's mom,
Oh, right. Yeah.
right? The he can do great impressions of people, by the way, that actor that
Oh,
plays
he's a
Howard.
really good actor. He was in. Watched something he was in recently, and
Oh, really?
I had to do a double take because it wasn't a comedy whatsoever. Like he was. I think he was playing. It was what the fuck is the name of that show? It's a recent show. It's really good. It stars Natasha Lyonne. It's created by Ryan Johnson,
It's funny that you remember all that, but
but I can't remember the title. He plays like an FBI agent in that show. That show is
really,
really fucking good, by the way.
hmm,
Why the hell can't I remember the name of it? Anyway, folks, if you're curious, a show, a crime show starring Natasha Lyonne, created
it
by
has
Ryan
Howard
Johnson,
from Big Bang Theory.
has
But
Howard from Big Bang Theory as an FBI agent. Google that and watch that show because it's really good.
when all the basic people at my old workplace would like talk about how they're such nerds because they like the Big Bang Theory, and I just started like being tired of the show's laugh track telling me what should be funny. And I think a show should stand alone. And if a show has a laugh track, it's okay. It's not like it's antiquated, I guess is what
Right.
I'm trying to say. And I couldn't, I never finished it. Never kept up with it. I was there when they all had like wives and girlfriends and stuff like that. And they added a lot to the show when they actually started getting like partners.
Right.
Like I feel like that added a lot to the show, but I just couldn't never
Howard's
kept
partner
up
in
with it.
particular. 10 out of 10.
Uh uh she's it's got some yeah, I agree.
She's done well for herself too after that show. Like she's in like movies and stuff now.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
do know that the actress that ended up playing the romantic interest for Sheldon um actually does have her doctorate in like neuroscience.
She's also kind of a shitty person though.
I've heard that.
There's she's made some statements in the past, some like I think like transphobic statements and like anti-vax statements and whatnot, and like when called out on it, she just doubles down instead of doing what Ricky and Elliot of Internet Today, one of my favorite YouTube channels,
I
off,
started watching
off
them.
often give advice they often give to people who say something that gets them into trouble is shut the fuck up.
Just just shut up.
Just
Yeah,
shut the fuck up.
just shut the fuck up. Um
She didn't do that. She doubled down on her shit.
uh, I started watching
I think she's anti-abortion too.
you know what, I think I heard that somewhere too.
Yeah.
I started watching them recently because you had like linked them about their it's okay to make fun of this like big rich stupid idiot.
Yeah.
And I was like, good. And I started watching them again from that episode, which was like their 1000th episode.
Yeah. I look forward to their videos. I'm always disappointed when I like bring up the YouTube app on my TV and like go into my subscriptions and see that they don't have a new video. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll
The
watch
one they
something else.
released today, I have up like
I
in
haven't
a
watched
tab.
it yet.
Neither have I. But yeah, Silicon Valley folks.
Yeah, we are
Tell you what we're
reviewing.
doing.
Oh yeah, so for a little bit of housekeeping here, on the last episode of the Lasercomb podcast, we said we were going to review
Yeah.
our favorite episode of Community, but then it was pointed out to us by a listener, shout out to him, Ranger64, that we actually reviewed an episode of Community
We sure did. It was
at
the
one point in the
Christmas.
show. It was the Christmas episode. So, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but we do have a kind of an unspoken rule that we're never going to do the same show twice, because why would we?
Yeah. Maybe in weird points where there's like an offshoot of a show that's technically a different show, but I can't think of how that would come up.
Or I would maybe make an exception, like say we were going to do Futurama, which is actually coming back yet again. I read recently.
I
If
love
we were gonna
Futurama,
if we were
folks.
gonna do something like Futurama, like I would be okay with treating like each like block like run that it was airing as like a
Before it
separate
was
show.
canceled and then brought up and then canceled. And
I would be fine with treating those as
me
separate
too, but I
shows.
love Futurama.
I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah. So we ended up being like, right, we're not doing Community.
right.
6 seasons in a movie. We are
The
doing
movie's coming,
Silicon.
damn it. It's coming. It's coming to Peacock.
It's real.
So once this was pointed out to us, we were like, "Oh shit, what do we do now?" And then I pitched to Cal. I'm like, "Hey, why don't we just continue on with shows like that are
Like Big Bang
big,
Theory,
big,
but better.
big, like the Big Bang Theory, but significantly better?" And so I was like, "Let's do Silicon Valley." And Cal's like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, I've always wanted to watch it.
So I put it through the old trusty random number generator as always, and we landed on episode 35, which was episode 7 of season 4, The Patent Troll, which originally aired on June 4th of 2017. I was watching this show as it was airing back in the day. Uh, ex-
Lucky.
except for the final season, funny enough. I have a tendency to do this, and I don't know why, but I've done it with several shows now. I will watch through them incessantly, like as they're airing, but then for one reason or another, I just won't watch the final season. It's not even a conscious thing, but
It's
there
like
are.
me in college.
Oof.
I
Like,
was got. I think I've mentioned this like 5 times throughout the years we've been podcasting, but like something I never talked about. But yeah, I like got all the way up to and through my second year, and then depression, folks. Didn't know it at the time. And then like right before my finals, like a week or two before, I was just like,
yeah.
and didn't go to anything. Stopped handing in assignments, didn't go to my finals. I was just like, eh.
My school got derailed by drugs, if I'm being perfectly honest. Drugs and partying.
Well, there you go, folks.
Yeah.
Which is why you should listen to us and our podcasts.
And the life advice that we give. Sage wisdom, like no matter where you go, there you are.
There you are.
Which is
And
a line, real quick sidebar. That is a line from The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, which is an 80s movie starring Peter Weller of RoboCop fame, Jeff Goldblum as a cowboy for some reason. Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity
you showed. Is that the trailer credits you showed me?
I'm going to take a quick opportunity to just talk about Buckaroo Banzai and how bananas this movie is. Yeah, so Peter Weller from RoboCop, Jeff Goldblum as a cowboy for reasons that are never explained, and a bunch of other people. I think Clancy Brown might be in the movie. The main villains of the movie are John Lithgow and Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd, who plays a character named John Big Booty.
It's real.
So the plot of the movie involves Buckaroo Banzai, as played by Peter Weller, who is a famed neurosurgeon and astrophysicist, and rock and roll star.
Neurophysicist. No, sorry, astrophysicist,
Yep.
neurosurgeon,
Yep.
rock and roll star.
Yep.
Wow.
So, the beginning of the movie, he's performing brain surgery with Jeff Goldblum, and he asks Jeff Goldblum if he wants to join his rock and roll band. His rock and roll band, by the way, whenever Buckaroo Banzai is just doing a science, his band is just hanging out. They're not really contributing anything, but they're just there, just like chilling.
Whenever
Like
he's
it,
doing a science,
yeah. So
as one
after
does.
so after he leaves the brain after he leaves the surgery, he goes to his lab where an experiment is being done with a rocket car that he's developing that is powerful enough to open a pocket to the eighth dimension, which the eighth dimension is basically as the way he explains what the eighth dimension is later in the film is basically the quantum realm from the MCU. It's like the
Got it.
space, but it's like the space between space and matter,
Space between
like
uh
microspace
uh
in matter.
space between particles and
Yeah,
atoms.
yeah, exactly. So when he's doing this test with this rocket car, he decides to go rogue and drive through a mountain, and he goes through the eighth dimension, where he encounters like lightning and like all these like weird creatures and whatnot, and he ends up bringing one back with him. So what him and his band find out from there is that this has attracted the attention of a imprisoned band of lizard people masquerading as humans who want to steal this car and use it to get back to their home dimension. Now, this has also attracted the attention of the people of the aliens who imprisoned them here. And so they're orbiting over Earth with a spaceship, and they tell Buckaroo Banzai that he has 24 hours to stop them, or they're going to blow up the planet.
Your straightforward plot, yeah.
Also, something to do with Russia launching nukes is involved.
As is tradition.
And Buckaroo Banzai's dead wife, he meets a woman who tries to kill him for reasons that are never explained while he's performing a rock and roll concert. Uh, Looks exactly like his wife, like identical 1-to-1, which is also never explained. This movie is fucking wild.
Are you sure this wasn't a fever dream?
I It popped up on it's a movie I'd heard of before because Bibbs and Whitney, my favorite film critics and podcasters, had talked about it. Um, so I'd heard of it, and it just popped up on Amazon Prime Video one day about a month or two ago, and the trailer started auto playing, and seeing the cast and just like seeing them like walking toward the camera like with goofy music playing and like Peter Weller like as he's
Kind of
walking
hype.
he looks over to his left and like nudges his head over like come on, and then like someone like walks over and joins him. I'm like, okay, this looks like kind of delightful, like I'm sold, and so
I
I ended
saw
up
that
watching it.
clip that you shared, and I was
Yeah.
like, that kind of looks delightful. Yeah.
The movie's wild. Anyway.
So there you go.
Yeah, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimensions. Apologies if anyone did not give a shit about that tangent there, but I haven't actually talked about the movie at all in front of a microphone yet.
You got allergies, folks. Sorry. My dust allergies make me yawn and my eyes water. It's like two of the symptoms. It's never worse than that, but it always just makes me look like tired.
Don't lie, it was the Buckaroo Banzai talk.
Yeah, almost put me to sleep.
Anyway,
Uh,
so what is Silicon Valley? Silicon Valley was an HBO series, as I mentioned, created by Mike Judge. I believe I mentioned. Yeah, it's created by Mike Judge of films like Office Space and Idiocracy, TV shows like Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, etc., etc. So Silicon Valley stars a cast of characters. They're all like tech dudes, except for the dude who owns the house that they live in, who's played by I almost said Ezra Miller. TJ Miller. Very
Okay,
different
and
Millers.
which character is that?
He's the guy with the curly hair who in this episode goes to the basketball game. That's
Okay, so he's the owner.
He's the owner of the house. He looks a lot like one of my old roommates, by the way.
He just looks like a dude who would be somebody's ex-roommate.
Yeah.
You know what? The guy with the glasses and the facial hair.
So his deal is he knows nothing about tech or anything like that, but he makes his money by he has this weird rule where he lets people in Silicon Valley rent rooms off of him, and in exchange for that, not only does he get rent, but whatever like startups, because everyone who lives in Silicon Valley is like trying to get a startup going. He gets a portion of their company, usually like 10%. So that's his deal.
So that's what this guy does. He rents to people, but it's a little bit cheaper, and he wants in on their startup.
Yeah. He
Okay,
wants in on
okay,
their startup so he can own like 10% of it, and then when they eventually like sell it to like Microsoft or Apple or whatever, like he makes bank.
okay, okay,
Yeah, that's his deal. His name is Ehrlich.
okay, okay.
So living in his house is Richard, who's the kind of the main guy of the show. Richard is a character who developed a revolutionary compression algorithm um, that's going to change the world. And his company is called Pied Piper. And there's also Dinesh. He's being helped out by basically all the roommates in this house except for Jin Yang, who we'll get to later. Are all
I was
like
gonna ask about that. Yeah,
are all part of Pied Piper, and like they're all working on this compression algorithm because like Richard quickly figures out that he needs help, but he also
right,
doesn't want to sell out to a big company. In this case, the big company in this show is called Hooli. They're basically Apple or Microsoft in this show.
right. Because they talk about the Hooli store,
Yeah,
or do they? What's the equivalent of like the Apple store?
yeah. Though they call it the Hooli app,
Oh,
the
okay,
Hooli Apple app store, I believe, in the
yeah, yeah.
episode.
Okay,
So
okay,
he didn't want to sell out to these big companies. He wanted to do it on his own. So he recruited the rest of the people in the house to work for him essentially and be partners in the company. And so we got Dinesh, who I can't remember. It's been a long, other than this episode, it's been a long time since I've seen the show. They all have different roles. I can't remember what Dinesh does. And there's also, uh, what's his name? Played by Martin Starr. Blanking on his name. Martin
another
Starr,
guy.
uh, Guilfoyle. Guilfoyle, that's his name. Martin Starr, best known for being in Freaks and Geeks when he was a kid, and more recently, he's been in the Spider-Man, the MCU
That's
Spider-Man
what I know
movies,
him from. Right, right.
playing very different
Uh,
characters.
this guy,
Yeah,
this guy. Yeah, I was like, he looks familiar, but from what?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. He's the teacher in the MCU Spider-Man movies. Very different character, very
Is
likable in
that
those
the
movies, though.
guy from Deadpool too, or is that just a different other looking guy?
Oh, T.J. Miller. Yeah, he's in Deadpool.
Yeah, okay, okay.
And finally, rounding out the Pied Piper cast of characters is Jared, who is basically Richard's assistant. So Richard used to work at the beginning of the show. Richard used to work for Hooli, and when he started developing this software, the owner Gavin Belson tried to buy him out, and he was like, "No, I want to do this on my own." So he walked out, and Jared was so inspired by that that he quit his job at Hooli and decided to work for Richard at Pied Piper.
Okay, okay, I'm caught up. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's the basic plot of the show. Throughout each season, the show is kind of a like roller coaster of like things of successes and then like sudden dramatic
Things going
failures.
well and then things going bad, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's always like some kind of mayhem that ensues. Like anytime they think something's going well, it falls apart. And indeed, that even happens in this very episode.
Mhm. So at the very beginning, he's main guy is kind of in a the Sheldon of the group, if you will, is in a doctor's office.
Yeah. A recurring joke is throughout the show is that whenever he goes to the doctor's office, it's always the same doctor, and this doctor ridicules him, like just playfully, like mocks him all the time.
Yeah, I liked this dynamic right at the beginning because he's like, okay, what can I do for you? And he's
He's
like,
like,
I need an STD check. And he's like, and he just like laughs in his face. And he's like, okay, no, but really.
he's like, no, no, I actually need an STD test, and he's like,
Well, you
well,
need to have sex. What's the point if you're not having sex?
he's like, well, actually, I did have sex, and he's like, with what? Actually, like seemingly
With
starting to get worried. He's like, with what? And he's like, a female. He's like, a
woman,
female.
a
A
female what?
female what? That line got me. uh,
I love that.
so yeah,
Female what?
Richard finds out in this exchange that and this becomes like the C plot of the episode, basically.
I like that too because he's all like, okay, well, what happened? You accidentally brushed your penis against the side of like the inside of a toilet seat?
So he finds out that he's shrinking due to like his bone density is decreasing and thus making him shorter due to just poor diet, poor lifestyle, etc., etc.
Not drinking enough milk, man.
Yeah, gotta train hard, say your prayers, eat your vitamins.
Yeah, that's right. And so the ongoing like kind of like joke of the episode is he's small. He's shrinking.
Yeah, one recurring gag in the episode, which is why I mentioned it was probably the C plot of the
Right, right.
show, is people keep making allusions to the fact that he's short or getting shorter or he's a small person or yada yada yada. Um,
And yeah, so that's how that starts. And that's a good introduction because I really liked the delivery of all the jokes the doctor was making.
right.
So that's one of the things in this episode where I was like, okay, really good start. And then it follows with another scene I actually liked with the curly haired dude,
Yeah, Ehrlich.
like who had done some like independent contractor work, I'm assuming, but on the assumption that he was going to work at this law firm.
I actually can't remember. It's not a law firm. It's just another tech company, but I can't actually remember what it was because they're so what's going on in this scene is he's meeting with Rebecca, who is a main character, one of the main characters of the show. She's
Right.
throughout the entire series, and I can't remember the name of the character that she's with, but she's also a recurring character in the show. Um, he's trying to get a job at their tech firm, but they just want to pay him a finder's fee for something, and
That's what it is.
I can't remember what it is at this point. Folks, it's
I
been a
don't
long
know.
time. It's been a long time since I
I don't
watched
know
this
if they
show.
say, but he had done something and they're paying him for the intel or the info or whatever it is. And he keeps trying to give it back and be like, well, I was actually hoping that, like, I could get a job. And they were like, oh, you're serious.
In fact, I actually kind of told people that I had gotten a job here, so if I don't have a job here, it's gonna look like I've been fired. And
And
one
they're
of the
like, well,
women,
you don't need to worry about that because you don't have a job here.
one of the women says that is acceptable.
Right. That is acceptable. Yeah.
So basically, he begs and pleads and offers to. They offer him an additional 10 grand plus the finder's fee on top of the finder's fee just to go away, and he like kind of pleads with them, and like after like puffing his chest up a bit, finally he's like, "Look, I really need this, please. Like I'll take half of the finder's fee
And
if
as a
you can just give me a
man
job."
in this woman only like tech, I can be the voice of reason against basically be like male representation or something like that. And
Are
eventually,
you aware of what mansplaining is? Yes, we're aware of what
yes, we're
mansplaining
aware.
is. Let me tell you what mansplaining is. Mansplaining is when a man condescendingly tells a woman information is already aware of. He mansplains mansplaining.
Mm-hmm.
which
And
uh,
somehow he
cracked
gets
me
his
up.
foot in the door and they're like, okay, well, blah, blah, blah. You start Monday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh, being pathetic and begging works, I guess.
They took pity on him.
Yeah.
So we go to the we cut to the house where they all of Pied Piper lives, and we see the gang: Richard, Dinesh, and Guilfoyle. And Guilfoyle is like uh, pulls like a modem and like a router out of a box. And they're like, "Oh, what have you got there?" And he like rattles off like a model numbers and stuff. And Dinesh is like, "You could have just said the router."
Yeah. And then I guess one of the kind of side plots is I don't know who like the Asian guy is, but
Jin Yang.
he Jin Yang, is he like the owner? Is he part of the is he just a roommate? Like what's
He's
going
a roommate, but he has nothing to do with Pied Piper.
That's what I thought. Like he had nothing to do with that. And something about the fridge, he decides to buy a new one.
Yeah, the
He's just rich, I guess.
so the yeah, so he's pointing out to Ehrlich because Ehrlich is eating breakfast in the kitchen, and Jin Yang is pointing out, "You see this? It's warm. It's bad. See this? It's warm. You see this? It's warm. You see this?" And Ehrlich's like, "Let me guess, warm." He's like, "Yes, I want a new fridge. I want this fridge." And Ehrlich's like, "No, no, I'm not good. That's $14,000. I'm not going to I'm not going to fork out the money for that." And
Right,
Jin
because
Yang's
he's the owner, right?
like, "No, I already bought it. It's my fridge." And he's like, "Well, what are you telling me this for then?" And Jin Yang's like, "Just to make you feel bad." So Jin Yang is extremely antagonistic to everyone in this show, but in
I kind of
particular,
like that.
Ehrlich. Oh no, I love it. I love Jin Yang.
In particular, this guy.
Yeah, yeah. He ends up in the show, if I remember correctly, he ends up becoming like a millionaire and like ends up owning the house himself eventually and whatnot.
Oh. Yeah, so he buys this like smart fridge, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, he buys a smart fridge and Ehrlich gets a call from someone at a rival company. I think it's a company that he maybe had stolen the information from that he sold. I can't remember. But anyway,
But it's an actual company where someone's in an office.
he gets a call from someone and he's like, and the guy uh, on the other line's name is Ed Chen, and he's like some executive type, but he's basically like, "Bro, I got bro, you want front row seats at the b-ball game or like whatever."
Yeah,
And
you want to get on the court,
yeah, yeah.
which he mistakes for court row seats. But what he's actually doing, as we find out, only after he brags to everyone else that he's going to a basketball game to see the
One day as a VP and I'm already like part of the club, basically.
yeah, and he's bragging to the other guys, acting like he's better than them. But then when he ends up either through talking to him or he physically goes there, he freaks out because he's this big fucking nerd. And what they're actually doing is playing in like a uh just like a not quite for fun, but almost like like an amateur game of
Well, he brags to them.
basketball.
He puts the dude on speakerphone. He's like, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you say that again?" And puts it on speakerphone so they can hear that he's like been invited to this basketball game. And they're like, "But you hate basketball." And he's like, "Well, it's true that like my extraordinary masculinity may have suffered being uh, surrounded by you scrawny code jockeys, but." Just openly mocks them. And yeah, so
Yeah,
he goes to the basketball court and he asks the dude. He's like, "Well," and he sees like Ed Chen and like a bunch of other people playing basketball. He's like, he says to like a security guy, like, "Oh, when does the game start?" He's like, "Oh, it's just about to." And they start playing, and he's like, "Wait, when he said, I'll see you on the court, did he mean I should actually like I'm expected to play?" And
security guards like, I don't fucking know.
the security guard hilariously is like, "I wasn't part of the conversation, dude."
right? I wasn't part of the conversation, dude. Right.
uh,
And yeah, and then he's like, oh, I shouldn't be here. And then he sees Ed go, all right, skins, like let's go like skins and shirts. And then half the dudes like pull off their shirts and they're all in shape and like ripped and stuff. And he's like, oh, I really can't be here.
uh, so he goes to like the top of the bleachers and calls Ed Chen and is like, "Oh, all right. Well, which one of you pussies poured sugar in my gas tank?" And Ed's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, my car won't start. I guess I'm going to miss this once in a lifetime opportunity to play this game with you." He's like, "Oh, it's no problem. We play every Tuesday. I'll see you next week, bro."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then there's an as the buzzer like goes off, but Ed can like hear it
through his phone.
through his
Yeah.
phone that it's through the conversation. And he's like, huh? And I swear he sees him like hiding
Yeah,
up
because
in the
he
bleachers.
he turns and looks behind him, and Ehrlich like awkwardly like
Doug's
just ducks
behind,
down.
and then he doesn't care, and then he like keeps playing.
He's just like, oh, all right, well, whatever. People are strange.
Yeah. So there's that, which is kind of nice. He's eating his hat there.
Yeah. So
Uh
Richard, and what ends up being the main plot of this
yeah.
episode is Richard gets an email from a dude saying, "Hey, I noticed you." Oh, and Jared had mentioned that they had just cracked the like top 500 apps on the Hooli store, the
And they
Hooli
look
phone
and they're
store.
in like number 499 or something.
They're in number 499, like subcategory, blah, blah, subcategory, blah, blah. But it's like, hey, we're still in the top 500, right?
Yeah,
And listening to that, I'm like, I know those feels.
that's right. Top 500 in television podcasts. Yeah.
we we are not this show, but Too Much Energon is actually in the top 100 of TV reviews podcasts section in the Canadian iTunes store. Which, like, we immediately when he said that, I'm like, huh, I relate to that.
Yeah, yeah.
I relate to that like slight like brag. It's like you can gloat. You just take like any like scrap of anything to gloat about.
That's right. Top 100 in TV review podcasts on iTunes in Canada.
In the Canadian iTunes store specifically.
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, anyway, he gets an email saying that, hey, I noticed you just are in the top 500 in the Hooli store, and I feel like your tech like infringes on a patent that I hold, and
You can settle this by paying
by paying $20,000.
$20,000. Yeah.
And Jared's like, oh, okay, well, no problem. I'll just send him a sternly worded cease and desist. And Richard's like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna like he's probably just a guy like you like us, like just coding out of his garage. Like, why don't I just drive up there and talk to him?
Yeah. Well meaning like dude who's just like, has his own like company and I'll just go talk to him. I'll just go
Yeah.
talk to him.
Which I
And
mean,
indeed,
bless the naivety here.
yeah, and indeed he goes and visits and kind of like texts or calls to go and meet the guy, right? And he's in like a rich neighborhood.
Yeah.
And somebody answers the door and he's like, oh, hi. And there's a younger guy, right? Hi, I'm Richard, blah, blah, blah. We spoke through email. And we were supposed to meet. And he's like, oh, you're looking for my grandpa. Grandpa, somebody's here for you.
And so Richard meets with the guy and he's like, "Oh, so are you a coder?" And he's like, "Oh God, no. I'm a
Oh, I
lawyer."
have no idea how that fucking nerd shit works. No, I'm a lawyer.
Hey, look,
And then he starts to brag
there's a
about
photo
all the
of me with Stevie Wonder. And he's
and
like,
he's like,
"Oh,
oh, you defended Stevie Wonder? He's like, heck no, sued the shit out of him.
he never saw it coming." Haha. Get it?
Huh?
Because he's blind? He even says that.
Yeah.
And so this guy points to a like thing on uh music sheet on his wall of like
Yeah,
a
because he's
mariachi
like, oh,
song.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm here. Like what's going on?
Yeah, so he points to a like music sheet of like a mariachi song from like the 70s or something like that, 60s or 70s, and he's like, "Oh, you see that?" He's like, yeah. Is that like some kind of famous?
Canción de Amores. Yeah.
Is that some kind of famous song?" And he's like, "Heck no! It's just a song that I bought at a copyright auction for really cheap, and I've used it to sue countless artists. Bought two houses with it. I
And it's like, are other people using it? He's like, no, but sometimes there are songs that are close enough to it. Basically, they contain that some part of it because it's common enough notes that he can threaten litigation and just get handouts to
This
make
shit
her
actually
disappear.
this kind of thing actually doesn't hold up in court at all because Metallica, of course it's Metallica. Metallica tried this shit like 20 years ago.
With Napster.
No, no, not Napster. No, they tried suing a band because they alleged that a song that they recorded was too close to some song that they did like back in the
Really?
80s. Yeah. Oh yeah, this happened back
Fucking
in like
Metallica, man.
this happened in like 2003, I think.
The
And yeah,
good guys of metal.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. um I don't know a single metalhead who actually listens to Metallica. It's all like basic people and rednecks. But yeah, anyway, they tried that shit like 20 years ago and they it got thrown out of court.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
apparently this guy has some precedence to be successful. So
He owns 10% of the song Walking on Sunshine. And it's about to be in a big Super Bowl ad.
yeah,
That's going to buy him another house.
yeah, apparently. And so kind of pissed off about this. They end up going to like a lawyer friend of theirs.
Yeah, he's their lawyer. He's another recurring character in the show. And he's like, "Oh, okay, so I see what's going on here. This guy's a patent troll. He like buys up cheap patents and like writes like vaguely worded like letters like claiming ownership and just makes money off of people on the, people who just settled just so he'll go away."
Just so they don't have to go to court and deal with $50,000, $60,000 of legal fees.
Right. And
And
so
even the lawyer says that it's probably not enforceable, but then you have to fight him in court. You need to hire like proper like lawyers that know about that kind of thing.
which
They
is
could
going to
be
cost
seeing,
them like 200 grand as opposed to the 20 grand which the guy is asking, which he's like, "Oh, you're getting off easy." He's not asking for very much because like what he does is he sees that you just cracked the top 500 on the App Store, so he starts at the bottom and works his way up. And the more people he sues and gets settlements from, the stronger case he has until eventually he can go after the big dogs and make like huge bank off of it.
yeah. So because they're at the bottom, they should be lucky that they're even only being charged like 20 grand.
It's skeezy, but it's actually kind of brilliant in a way.
Yeah. And they come up with the idea that, well, actually, no, this is bullshit. And since he's starting from the bottom, he has no precedent. He has no grounds for no claim.
Right.
So what they end up trying to come up with is why don't we go to like the next our competitors or our next 10 or some people in the middle of the same people that this patent could apply to, the same companies that this patent could apply to, and try to band together and warn them that this guy is like coming and come to some like conclusion and like pool our money so that we can countersue and he doesn't get away with this.
A really common thing in this show is Richard taking moral stances against things, and
Yeah,
it usually fucking him over in the end, which indeed it does in this
and
episode.
which is kind of sad. Like, yeah, yeah. And the way that happens is, oh, and then we cut back to like the home here or there where they've got that smart fridge.
Yeah, and Guilfoyle is annoyed by this thing, like annoyed by the fact that one, that it talks, and two, that it mimics human like vocal tics, like ums and ahs and things like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it bothers him out of principle for some reason. So he makes this his personal vendetta, That's like the B plot of
This is the B plot of the
it.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there's like a few. There's
There's quite a
like
few subplots.
yeah, there's probably I think four plots going on in this because there's
Yeah.
also Jared pretending to be Ed Chambers trying to lower their Microsoft Azure like hosting fees.
Right, right, right. And he's like, hey, yo. And he,
And there's also the whole Ehrlich basketball thing. So yeah, there's the main plot and there's like five subplots going on.
there's a few things cooking. Yeah.
There's a
And they
lot
all get
happening in this
resolved.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't hold any importance, but they're amusing.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so Guilfoyle decides that he's going to use his like fancy router that was introduced at the beginning of the episode, which good writing, by the way. Uh,
Oh,
just
yeah, yeah.
the way it was introduced, it was it's an old screenwriting term, the loaded gun, basically.
Right, right.
Yeah, if you introduce a loaded gun on the first page and fire it on the final page.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he uses this fancy router that was introduced earlier in the episode, which he has named Anton because Guilfoyle is a Satanist.
Oh,
It's one
of
of his
course.
things. He's a Satanist. He's this like very like monotone uh like nihilistic Satanist dude, which
Okay, okay.
he's my favorite character on the show.
I can see that. I can see that.
Probably shouldn't surprise you. So he decides to use Anton to hack into the fridge,
Right.
and that becomes an ongoing thing throughout the episode. So Richard, yeah, tries to get like the next eight software developers down the list of the like top 500 Huli apps. He tries to get them to all form a coalition to fight this lawyer.
Yeah, he physically goes and like holds like a little press conference. Not a press, sorry. He goes,
It's a meeting.
it's a meeting. He
Yeah.
goes to either one of the companies or multiple reps from the companies to talk about it.
It's representatives from all eight of these other companies.
Oh, man, he does not have a way with words.
No, he doesn't, because
And indeed,
the lawyer references Limp Bizkit, and he's like, "Oh, the band, did this lawyer sue them too?" And he's like, "No, what the band is named after." And he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And he's like, "Oh, in a fraternity, you like a bunch of dudes like jack off onto like
right, there's a Limp Bizkit thing, and he's like, he sued them. He sued the band. No, the food. It's yeah.
He's like, no, it's a fraternity thing. A bunch of guys jerk off onto a cracker, and then the last guy to finish off has to eat it. And then Jared is
Sometimes
like,
it's a Triscuit
yeah, he's like, sometimes it's a wheat thin.
or a wheat thin. Yeah. And
Um,
then the woman who had like asked that, um,
so yeah, so when Jared is in the board meet, or not Jared, when Richard is in the board
Richard,
meeting
yeah.
with the coalition of other tech
Oh,
companies,
it's hard to watch, man.
he references Limp Bizkit, and like the one woman in the room is like, "Oh, what's that?" And
And
he's
he's
like,
like,
"Well,
oh, never mind. Forget, yeah.
yeah." And the guy right beside her is like, "It's where a bunch of guys masturbate onto a cracker, and then the last one eats it." And she's like, "Ew, like why would you bring that up?"
Why would you bring that up? And he's like, well, the thing is, we don't want to be the last. We don't want to be the last one to like finish. And it's
We want to force him to eat the cracker,
him
and
to eat
she's
the
like,
cracker.
she's
And
like, "Ew, it's sexual assault."
he's like, no, metaphorically, and he tries to recover from this, and it gets worse.
By mentioning a donkey punch.
And
And
he's
she's
like,
like,
no, it's a metaphor, like a donkey punch. And she's like, what is a donkey punch?
and the guy right beside her goes to
Is
explain
about to-
again. And Jared's, or Rick, I keep calling him Jared. Richard's like, please don't.
Please don't. Yeah.
So this backfires spectacularly because instead of banding together with him, they all preemptively reach out to this lawyer and agree to settle, thus making his case stronger. And so now he wants to sue Richard and Pied Piper for $300,000 instead of taking a $20,000 settlement.
Because they all reached out, and in a way, he helped them. and to like get back at him,
Yeah.
even though he helped the lawyer, um, to get like back at him, basically suing him into
No, he didn't help
bankruptcy.
the lawyer.
No, all those companies.
Oh, all those
So in a
companies, yeah.
way, um,
Well, I guess
Richard inadvertently
in
helped the patent
inadvertently,
troll,
yeah, I guess he did. Yeah, now that I think
because
about it,
instead of dealing with them one by one or like whatever, they all banded together and kind of like came up with a settlement that they all agreed upon, which saves him time and
makes his case stronger.
makes his case stronger.
And now he
And
has
so
a
he's suing
vendetta.
them into oblivion.
And now he has a vendetta against Richard.
And
So
he's so friendly throughout the movie. Man, I hate this guy. Right? Because he's just like, oh, it's business. Uh-huh. Fucking dude, man.
hey, look, there's a picture of me with Stevie Wonder. Sued the shit out of him.
Sued the shit out of him.
He never saw it coming. Ha ha.
Get it? Yeah, and fuck, and then Richard has to be like, right, because he didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Yeah, this lawyer is a tool. He's supposed to be, though. You're supposed
Yeah,
to hate
yeah.
him.
And he's like, oh right, yeah, these are gonna put my like grandchildren through college. Lazy bastards. Um, just casual the casual way he chats too. And how
There's a
do they
bit
resolve this?
there's a bit where Jin Yang is like demonstrating like how the fridge works,
The superiority of the fridge.
the superiority of the fridge, and he's like he puts an item in the fridge and it's like, "Oops, did you forget to scan an item?" He's like, "I did on
I
purpose."
did on purpose. Yeah.
I love Jin Yang. and and
His deadpan delivery, and I've had a roommate
he
like
pulls up
that.
he pulls up a thing of yogurt and he was like, "See, the fridge tells me this is expired. This could have killed me. Now I can give it to Ehrlich." Oh,
And Ehrlich being the type of person who would eat free food, I assume.
100%.
Expired. Yeah. I mean, me too, man. If it passes the sniff test, it gets eaten. I'm just saying.
And meanwhile, I'm just about to return expired food to my work.
Well, it was expensive, damn it.
It was expensive and it was dated for the day that I bought it.
So by the time you went to eat it, it was a few days gone. But yeah, so that's that. And then there's like an error message, or he slowly starts to troll uh the fridge by reprogramming it.
Right, right. And eventually he figures out how to crack it and he hacks it so it basically just says "suck it, Jin Yang" over and over again.
While like playing porn or
Yeah.
whatever.
A mime like doing a like fat
Oh,
like a dick sucking motion.
yeah,
And Jin Yang is like, "You didn't even spell my name right." And he's like, "I know."
I know.
uh, so what ends up happening is Richard hears the song, or he was like digging through like some of his old stuff, and he found some like old
Right.
like tech that he had developed, like music identification tech, based
On like
Shazam,
old files. He
Shazam,
has it all
basically.
on he has it all on like paper. Like he has the code like printed out and whatever. And he's like, I can use, wait a second. And yeah, he uses this kind of like Shazam like thing and goes and like quickly does like a bunch of like nerd shit to like revive this old project so he can privately use it. And he finds out, what was it, like Circe de Leon or whatever this piece of music was called.
Yeah, the song that the patent troll owns the copyright to, he discovers is a itself ripping off a song from the 50s. So Richard basically uses this information to blackmail the lawyer whose demeanor at this point finally changes, and he's like, "All right, well, what do you want, you fucking prick?"
Right.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, the facade is down. Now he's pissed off.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but we find out after that that Richard was actually bullshitting about this, but
Really?
he uses yeah, it happens at the end of the episode, near the end of the episode. He uses this to blackmail the lawyer into dropping the suit, and we find out that Richard actually bullshitted this and uh basically just started talking in tech jargon to make the guys like eyes like
Right.
glaze over and just like concede. He took advantage of the fact that the patent troll knew nothing about tech, which I'm like, bravo, Richard.
Yeah, because when
But
the guy's like bullshit, he's like, no, computer science. And
developed by a fucking genius.
developed by a genius, the most advanced audio processing software.
Yeah,
And so when I bring it to these, the owners of all of that, these like mega
like
companies,
I think blah blah would like to find out that you don't actually own walking 10% of Walking on Sunshine. They might even pull the entire ad from the Super Bowl commercial.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So
that's enough where suing this one guy doesn't become worth it.
no, because
And he's
that
not countersuing; he's just like threatening him to drop the lawsuit, which he does.
I mean it's technically blackmail, but I mean this is a
But that
skeezy
that guy
like
doesn't know it.
shady lawyer anyway.
Yeah,
um,
because he sits down, he's like, "All right, what do you want, you little prick?"
yeah.
And
Uh,
he drops it.
yeah, yeah, he drops it, but then we find out that after like Richard is like gloating and everything to the rest of the Pied Piper guys at the house, we find out privately Jared informs him that
Jared's a bro.
privately informs Richard that the bill from their lawyer for drafting up the contract
Consultation fees and the
for dra-
contract for
for drafting up the whole contract for that coalition that he tried to get started that ended up fucking him over. The bill for doing all of that was $22,000. And so Richard is like, so I would be $2,000 richer if I had just paid the patent troll off. And he's like, well, I mean, you can't put a price on dignity, I guess. And Richard's like, well, I kind of did. Kind of just did.
and yeah, he's like, "Oh, well, don't tell the other guys." And he's like, "Got it."
There's there's a line that Jared says uh I can't even remember the context, but like he compares them to like a uh compares them to like a disease. He's like, we've spread from bat saliva and already infected and killed several rural villagers. And I'm like, in a post COVID, this was 2017, so
I
but like
remember that.
after COVID, like that line hits differently.
Yeah, which is famously how the other SARS and
Yeah.
ver- those variant outbreaks, bird flu and stuff like that. But those weren't global pandemics at the time, and there was swine flu and blah blah. So that reference back
I
then
had
is
swine
probably
flu.
like, right. That's right. Yeah,
I had it when we worked at Blockbuster.
yeah, yeah. It was like, oh shit, haha. But it wasn't
And
like it was just this.
and our boss, Karen, literal Karen, wanted to fire me because I missed like 8 days of work because I had swine flu. Anyway,
Fucking swine flu, man.
yeah, it sucked. That was one of the most. I wasn't like I didn't throw up or anything like that, but like physically, that was like that's like top five, like the most ill I've ever felt in my life.
So how does this end? Doesn't it end with what's his name at the game, but he's got like a like a cast or like a leg brace on or something?
So when Richard and Jared are talking privately about the whole like $22,000 lawyer fee thing, um, they're in the garage and the garage door is open. And when they go to leave, I think Richard hits the button to close the garage door, and then we see outside uh, Ehrlich is on the garage door trying to set up a basketball hoop on the side of the
Right.
roof. Because earlier in the
Yeah, yeah.
episode, he had gone to the garage and originally asked Guilfoyle to help him like put it up, and Guilfoyle's just like, why would you need assistance from a scrawny code jockey like me, referencing the
Yeah.
line that he had said earlier. So,
Yeah.
or
So
like
he's up there by himself and then he comically falls,
comically falls, and then the episode ends with him be with a broke like, cast on his foot at the basketball game, like keeping
bragging to
score.
the guard, the security dude,
Yeah,
being like, "That's why I believe that the future is female, and I believe in women's rights and all blah blah blah." And the guard's just like, "Uh huh."
and
And his buddy Ed like runs by because he just makes like a 3 pointer.
yeah,
And I guess they had him on point duty.
keeping score. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh right, oh right. You just made a point. How many? Right, right, right. You just made a shot, right?" And he like adds 2 points, and
he's like,
Ed's
it's a
like,
3-pointer, dumbass.
"Dumbass, come on!" And then he just ignores that and like leans back
Yeah,
again.
and that's the end of the episode. All right, well, here on the Lasercomb podcast. We like to, at the end of recapping an episode, we like to ask each other a question. And that question is, Cal, you just caught a random episode of Silicon Valley. Would you tune in again?
So here's the thing: I
Uh-oh.
can see the potential in this, but this episode alone doesn't sell me.
Fair enough.
But I can see the potential in the interactions with the characters that this might be something I really like.
I would highly recommend starting at the beginning and maybe watching the first 2 or 3 episodes.
That's what I mean. I bet you I would really enjoy the first like 2 or 3 or 4, like whatever episodes, and then I would start getting into it. Because this episode is kind of on the premise that you know the characters and their dynamics and everything, and it does an okay job telling you no, not telling you, illustrating that in of itself, but
Yeah, and this
there's so
show,
much going on that I'm just kind of like, I'm only caring about the main plot and I don't know all the other characters enough to get the nuance of the humor
right.
necessarily. And
Well, and
so it wasn't.
this show is like somewhat serialized, but also somewhat episodic in a way.
Yeah, which I find is usually the best mix. And so I would say I'll give it the old maximal try, the old college try. I say if I saw it, I would make note of when it appeared on TV, and I would try to I'd try to catch it next week. So
All
yeah,
right.
I would tune in next week.
Well, I know you like, and that's one of the reasons why I recommended this show is because like I know you like Idiocracy, I know you like
Yeah,
Office Space, I know you like King of the Hill, you like Mike Judge, the works of Mike Judge.
absolutely. Yeah. Well,
So
and
like,
just for that reason, why I was like, you know what, I think I should go check this out from the beginning.
yeah, I feel like if you start from the beginning with this show, I think you'll like it. And
And that's the thing; it has the air where I was like, I bet you I could really like enjoy this like from beginning to end.
right.
Like it has that same humor the Judge is writing has.
Yeah, it very much has that like Office Space like style of humor to it.
Well, exactly. And we were just complaining that, like, well, without the laugh tracks, how do I know when a joke is funny? Um, and this doesn't suffer from that.
Yeah.
Like it is clever in its writing and it lets it speak for itself. Kind of like when we watched Better Off Ted,
Right, right.
right? But with Better Off Ted, that felt like I could consume just that episode
Well, and
and go, yeah, that's good.
that's the difference too between a network TV sitcom and a cable sitcom.
Yeah. But with this, I feel like I could almost, it feels like there's almost more heart that I would need to watch and get into. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a shallowness that's easy to get into with Better Off Ted. The jokes
Right.
speak for themselves. But with this, there's kind of like that more intimate humor
Well, and
that pays off after multiple episodes.
I was disappointed that Rebecca was barely in this episode at all because she's one of the highlights of the show for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, is this a side character? Like, do we ever see her again?
Yeah, she's actually like pretty important to the overall plot of the show. And
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
she's there right from the beginning.
But yeah, I think I'll give it a few episodes. Season one.
All right. Um, I
You
can't really answer this
obviously.
question because, as I mentioned, I watched through the show while it was airing. Um, I
Yeah,
only
exactly.
and I kind of brought alluded to this earlier. I only, other than the final season, but I did eventually, I think maybe 2 years ago, go back and watch the final season.
Oh, so you did finish it.
I did finish it. Yeah, there's a few shows that I still haven't, and I mentioned that this was kind of an ongoing trend
Is
with me.
Lost
Like
one of them?
I still haven't watched the last season of Mad Men. I still haven't
Mad
watched the
Men,
last
right?
season of Chuck. Um, yeah, two
What about
shows that.
Lost?
No, I never got into Lost. I watched the first like 3 episodes. Generally, my rule is like if I want to like a show, I'll watch the first 3 episodes, and then
Right.
I'll go from there. But
I've never
yeah,
seen any Lost. All I know is I
couldn't
worked at
get into it.
Blockbuster at the time, and there'd be like just huge chunks of it missing. Right? We'd have like season one, discs one, three, three, four,
Yeah.
five. Season two, only disc three, and then 3 copies of disc four, and then 2 copies of disc five, right? Because
What
people would
what
just keep certain ones of them and it would be disjointed and impossible to watch.
watching TV in the on home video, ladies and gentlemen, before the days of streaming.
Oh man.
Those
Yeah.
were the woes. I remember renting 24 disc by disc at Van Isle Video back in the day.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than someone else that has the next disc rented out.
Right. So that was episode 67 of the Lasercomb podcast. Best way to support the show is to go to patreon.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. We're at the single $5 tier. You get a bonus exclusive podcast called the Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show, occasional commentary tracks, and a bunch of other like random goodies.
Yeah, there's a
Uh,
ton of commentary. We bullshitted for like, man, like 2 hours before we
yeah.
filmed this. Yeah.
Uh, follow. I was gonna say follow me on Twitter, but I've actually left Twitter now. So follow me on Instagram if you want. I am at Christopher Siege, and well, Cal, you can people can follow you where?
Yeah, at the TikTok at neo underscore cal, neo underscore kal. Other than that, I don't know, man. Join our Discord and talk to us.
Yeah, that's
It
probably
is,
the best thing. There's
right?
in the description for like every episode of every podcast that we do. There's always an invite link to the Lasercomb Discord. So go join that.
Where you
We're
actually just talk, say, "Oh, hey, blah blah blah, heard you." Like, social media sucks anyway.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, join our Discord. We're all we're both pretty active on there, and like a bunch of our listeners are active on there. It's
Yeah,
it's a good way if you just want to talk
it's
to
not
us.
like there are hundreds of people on there. It's like 6 people, including us.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Discord.
yeah, join the Discord. Uh, we will be back next time with episode 68 of the Lasercomb podcast, where we're going to be talking about one of Cal's favorite shows, and it's fits in with our better than the Big Bang Theory theme. It's a show called The Good Place.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
I have seen season 1 of The Good Place,
Oh,
but
really?
and I did enjoy it. I have, but for whatever one reason or another, I just never ended up finishing it. Um, so this will be a good opportunity for me to
Hell
potentially
yeah.
see something outside of season 1. So it had a total of 53 episodes across 4 seasons. So um, let's try screen share again. See if that works. It worked last time. Hopefully my computer doesn't explode.
We can only
Where
hope.
where Ah, there we go. I'm like, where the fuck is screen share? All right, here we go. Is it working?
Yes.
Hallelujah, it's a Christmas miracle. Christmas in July. So one random number between 1 and 53, and here we go.
It
And we're
feels longer than 53.
45.
Oh shit.
Very late in the show. So
That
that
is going to be
is
spoilers, folks.
season 4, episode 6, a chip driver mystery.
A chip driver mystery.
All right. Well, there you have it. We'll be back next time with that. And until then, I've been the Siege, one of your hosts.
And it's me, Cal.
And until next time, we will Ed Chambers you next week.
Ed Chambers is dead, man. Just wasn't meant to be.
We had to let him go.
We had to let him go.
Bye-bye.